I'll do what I can this evening. We'll start our meeting with invocation with Councilman Yance, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Lord God, we're grateful for these few days you've given us. Lord, we're grateful for the change in the season. We're grateful for the cooler weather that you've done. Lord, we ask that you be with this council, be with the citizens of this county. Lord, we ask that you give us wisdom, make the right decisions. The right decisions, and then we put the citizens of the county first. Lord, we ask that you be with us, ask that you watch over us. Lord, once again, we're grateful for the gift of salvation that you've given us. All we gotta do is reach out and take it. Be with us, watch over us. We ask these things in Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item of business this evening is approval of our agenda for October 13th, 2025. I'll entertain a motion. We have a motion. Second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your right hand. 4-0. Next item is approval of minutes. We have 4 sets of minutes. It's the September 8th, 2025 regular session, September 15th, 2025 special called session, September 27th, 2025 special called session, and October 2nd, 2025 special called session. The motion to approve those minutes.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Or 22nd. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, please raise your right hand. 4-0. This evening, we have an opportunity to have a couple special recognitions, and I would love to read those, but Matthew is graciously going to step in for me. So I'll let him take over.
Right. On behalf of the County of Lawrence, South Carolina, it is with deep pride that we, the Lawrence County Council, do hereby proclaim with extreme honor the month of October 2025 National Pharmacist Month. And whereas pharmacy is one of the oldest of health professions concerned with the health and well-being of all people, and whereas there are more than 327,000 pharmacists licensed in the United States, providing services to ensure the rational and safe use of all medications, and whereas pharmacists play a crucial role in the healthcare team by providing services such as medication, therapy management, counseling, disease management, etc. And whereas pharmacists are the most accessible healthcare providers, often being the first point of contact for patients seeking trusted health advice and support. And whereas during public health crises, pharmacists will always find gratitude in providing resilience, passion, and dedication to patient care and the well-being of their communities. And whereas Lawrence County is home to the Presbyterian College School of Pharmacy, and whereas in Lawrence County it is important we locally celebrate and recognize our pharmacists. Therefore, be it proclaimed by this Lawrence County Council on this 13th day of October 2025, the month of October 2025 is National Pharmacist Month.
We're fortunate tonight to have representatives from the school, students and leadership. So we're just proud to have you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, our second one this evening, on behalf of the County of Lawrence, South Carolina, is with deep pride that we, the Lawrence County Council, do hereby proclaim with extreme honor the week of October 23rd through the 31st, 2025 is Red Ribbon Week. Whereas communities across America have been plagued by the numerous problems associated with illicit drug use and those that traffic in them. And whereas there is hope in winning the war on drugs, and that hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with the hard work and determination of organizations such as the Young Marines of the Marine Corps. League to foster a healthy, drug-free lifestyle. And whereas governments and community leaders know that citizen support is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs in our communities, and whereas Red Ribbon Week has been chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of our Enrique Camarena, a drug enforcement administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty, represents the belief that one person can make a difference. And the Red Ribbon Week campaign was established by Congress in 1988 to enforce a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and reduction efforts. Whereas October 23rd to 31st has been designated National Red Ribbon Week, which encourages Americans to wear red ribbon to show their support for a drug-free environment. Therefore, be it proclaimed by the Lawrence County Council this 13th day of October 2025.
The next item of business is reports to council. Ms. Bertrand, are there any reports?
No, at this time, sir.
Thank you. So it's time for public comment. There is one person signed up, but their comments will be on our open space development moratorium. And we will have a special meeting after this, just right after we're done with this meeting. So I believe he's gonna speak. Is that correct? All right, correct. We'll move into old business. Ms. Knopf, do you have any appointments for any boards or commissions?
Yes, sir. We actually have 2 to the Agriculture Board, 3 to the Assessment Appeals Board, and 1 to the PRT Board. Those for the Agriculture Board from District 1 is Ellington Willis, District 3, Don Glass. For the Assessment Appeals Board, District 1 is Grant Rhodes. District 2 is Mike Harmer. District 3 is Brenda Lagon. And then for the PRT Board, for District 6, we have Harold Nichols.
And we don't need to take action on those, correct? Excellent, thank you. Next item of business is public hearing for ordinance 990, Project Sora Philo. Jonathan Coleman.
Thank you, sir. This is the project, obviously on third reading. It is Canadian American switchgear in Great Court. It's a 43, actually $9.25 million expansion with 43 new jobs. Exciting announcement, obviously for our county, but the product they make is for an electric utilities, which is a huge need too. So congratulate them on their growth.
We will now open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance 990, Project Sora Philo. It is 6:08. Anybody wishing to speak for or against Project Sora Philo, please come forward. Seeing none, close this public hearing. We'll move on to third reading of ordinance 990, Project Sora Philo. Is there a motion to approve? Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor on third reading approval of ordinance 990, Project Sora Philo, please raise your hand. 4-0. There is no new business this evening on our agenda. Our next item will be county council comments. I'll start to my right now, Councilman Lane.
Hey, y'all, happy Columbus Day. As always, I have an open line for discussion and disagreements as well. I welcome those. But yeah, if I can do anything for anyone, just please let me know.
Councilman Youngs.
No,
Councilman Wright.
Thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank the pharmacist and Mr. Stewart for being here. As well as want to remind everyone, immediately following this meeting, we'll have our workshop, committee as a whole meeting for ordinance 991, our open space development. So for anyone interested in that, welcome you to join us after we get out of the executive session, but thank you all for being here tonight.
And I'll echo that, not speak too much this evening, but we hope to finish these next items pretty quick so we can spend a the needed time on the ordinance discussion. So our next item is executive session. We'll be going into executive sessions for three things. First is the receipt of legal advice subject to attorney-client privilege related to in the discussion of the employment and compensation of county administrator. Discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual agreements for an interim building official and the discussion of the employment and compensation of a director of building codes. And third, the discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual agreements for Tischler Bice to perform an impact fee study. Is there a motion that we go into executive session?
Motion to enter.
Motion is second. All those in favor of entering executive session? 4-0, we will go immediately into executive session and we will return. Thank you. the floor for any motions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to,
Wait for our clerk to come back real quick.
My apologies. You ready? We're back from executive session. No action was taken. I'll now open the floor for any motions.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the county attorney to negotiate with Tyson Bice to provide an impact fee study up to the amount of 200,000 and be paid from Fund 156.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 5-0. Any other motions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the county administrator to execute an agreement with Safeville LLC to provide inspection and building official and plan review services.
There is a motion. Is there a second? We have a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 5-0. Any other business?
One more for you, Mr. Chairman. Make a motion to select Jerry Three as Lawrence County Administrator and to authorize the county chairman to execute a memorandum of understanding and employment agreement with Mr. Three.
We have a motion. For a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 5-0. Any other business? I'll entertain a motion now. Motion to adjourn, is there a second? All those in favor, please raise your hand. We'll stand adjourned. We will take 3 minutes or so, if you'll give us that, between now for a bio break maybe, and then we'll start next meeting, so thank you. Except the night till. All right, good evening. We'll call this committee as a whole meeting, October 13th, 2025 to order. It is 7:19 PM. We have an approval of our agenda. I will accept the motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your right hand. 5-0. First item of business, pardon me. Is council discussion regarding ordinance 991 to amend ordinance 926 of Lawrence County by repealing and replacing Division 12 open space development. We had a public comment sheet back there, but I just had that there for you to sign up for an order, but we're gonna allow everybody who wants to speak, as well as council will have, thoughts on that. So, I guess we'll open up to the floor right now. Anybody who would like to speak to, ordinance 991, please come forward, state your name. Ethan Anderson.
That's right. My name is Ethan Anderson. I'm Carroll, member of the council. I was reviewing, both of the updated, metrics so far. And I amend that. We can do better for that. However, I speak tonight not as bystander, but as a citizen deeply concerned about the direction Lawrence County is heading. Growth is moving faster than our planning and promises made to the public have been broken. Look at Gibson Grove. We were told that there would be open space. What we got instead are pickleball courts, swimming pools, and private amenities. There is not open space. True open space is land and waterways preserved to protect the health, safety, and quality of life of current residents. Is farmland, forests, natural buffers, stormwater areas that shield our communities from overdevelopment and rising costs. It is publicly beneficial, ecologically functional, and lasting, not marketed as a sales feature for the next house. Every acre of lost open space shifts more costs and risk onto the people who already live here. Our roads, water, sewers, systems, schools, and sewers. Our roads, water systems, schools, and sewers are aging and under pressure. Highway 76 is a stark example. Decades of taxes and impact fees have failed to produce the improvements we were promised. Developers move ahead, but taxpayers are left holding the bill. This moratorium on housing gives us a rare chance to act decisively. Open space must be clearly defined, enforceable, and permanent. We must preserve land, forests, and natural areas, not private recreation facilities. It must be protected for future generations, not sacrificed for short-term development gains. At the same time, impact fees and development agreements must directly fund infrastructure our community, our county desperately needs. Roads, schools, water, and sewer before new construction is approved. Anything less is negligence. Council, this is our turning point. The decisions you make now will determine whether Lawrence County protects its heritage, safeguards its natural resources, and strengthens its infrastructure, or whether we continue handing the future to unchecked development. Lawrence County deserves leaders who act boldly, honestly, and with accountability. So set a true definition of open space, demand infrastructure responsibility, and protect your citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Surprisingly, I'm not gonna say, believe it or not, I know you're looking at me like.
Do better. Come on, Nancy Garrison, everyone.
No, actually, I just come to listen to what y'all's thoughts were tonight, so, yeah.
Anybody else want to speak? Sure, come on.
Good evening, my name is Carolina Hadfield, representing local real estate association. And just want to add a little clarity to what open space really can do for everybody. It's a more efficient, if you have something called whatever you want to call it, cluster development group consolidation, however you want to call it, whatever term. It's a more efficient use of the space that you have. It allows more recreational space as well as disturbing less natural space. This helps to keep land and development costs down, making home ownership more affordable, which in Lawrence County is rapidly becoming unattainable. Thank you.
I'll make a few comments, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
My name is Jeff Field. I'm the Executive Director of Lawrence County Water and Sewer Commission. So Wasn't sure if this is the only opportunity that we may have to comment on the changes.
Absolutely not.
But, regardless, I felt like I may ought to say a little bit, more at a high level, not getting into any specifics about the current, proposals that are, I think were made public last week or the last couple of weeks. So, so this is more of a background on why this kind of stuff is important to us. So as a water and sewer utility in the county. So we take a strategic approach to planning. And that's whether it's long-term capital investment, workforce development, making sure we charge appropriate impact fees to help growth pay for growth, and also rate modeling, long-term rate modeling, to make sure that we keep pace with inflation, but also we make wise use of the resources that we're entrusted to. Now, of course, every decision we make is a commitment primarily to our customers and to this county, and trying to help all of the community prosper. So a key component to that plan is smart growth. We've heard the term smart growth a lot. It's used in your grocery and comp plan. And that usually occurs for us where market demand aligns with adequate infrastructure. So open space cluster developments usually occur, obviously, in these smart growth areas, because that's where public water and public sewer coexist. And that allows for these higher density developments that we use to sort of maximize a return on our infrastructure investment. And it happens within a relatively small area of the county. There's not a lot of sewer in the county, so where these two items coexist is probably roughly 10% of the county, maybe less. And so we take advantage of that growth in that 10%, not counting the city of Lawrence or Clinton, but in areas that we serve. So we all recognize that that's where these type of developments will naturally occur. Our only concern is that as we go through these revisions, that we be careful on how far we go. Not here to speak in any particulars. I agree that there's some really good changes that have been recommended. Our biggest concern is maybe more at a high level where sharp increases in open space could potentially have unintended consequences. So, so we believe maybe more a measured approach or incremental changes. Again, use this opportunity to make some good worthwhile changes, but in particular, if you increase the open space requirement from 30% to 60%, we may recommend that you look somewhere in between, maybe 45%, and see how that impacts potential development. So it helps ensure, obviously, that smart growth continues at a reasonable pace, allowing us to make sure that we can keep up with rising costs to provide water and sewer services with minimal rate increases. There are other comments and questions in particular that we have. I think on one provision, we actually submitted 47 comments. More in general, just things that we had more questions about, were they in conflict with other parts of the ordinance. So most importantly, we really welcome a opportunity to have a deeper dive with council and staff on this ordinance. Really on all of ordinance 926, particularly those affecting open space and conventional developments, because we have a few comments we may make on conventional development sizes where it relates to having public sewer. With that, I do thank you for the opportunity to share our thoughts. We remain committed to supporting Lawrence County and Lawrence County Council and trying to move this county forward. So any opportunity we have to help y'all do that, we welcome that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Can I change the mind?
You certainly can.
So, for 60 years, and so, I've been away for a little bit because my husband's been sick, and I had, not had to travel our roads on a daily basis, because I don't leave the farm a whole lot as far as that goes. So, every day traveling. So, something does have to occur in our density, in the issue of the density, especially in our area. I have never been so frustrated trying to leave my home every day and go to 385. We've got such an issue up in our area already, and the ones that are from the past that we can't change now are not even finished being built out yet. you get off at 418 to head towards my house to get to Durbin Road, we have a three-way stop. It is backed up from 385 to that three-way stop. There's 3 miles of backed up traffic every evening now. Because, and that's without all that beside us finishing building out. And now we've got 3 more applications coming into the county, 2 up in our area. They're conventional, 1 beside us on the other side of our farm and then 1 on the frontage road. So we're talking about adding more, even though they're conventional, we're talking about adding more to our area. So something's got to change to help what's clustering around our area. And I realize Jeff talking about our area is the more potential for the sewer and the water and stuff like that. But we do not have the infrastructure in the roads, and I do not believe we have emergency services. I was sitting the other day in that traffic and I thought, what if an ambulance needed to come by? What if a fire truck needed to come by? You're on a 2-lane road and it's packed traffic both ways and they can't get through. So it's that bad up in our area at this time, and we still haven't built out all the way what we've already approved. So I think the density is a big issue when it comes to this part of the ordinance and what we looked at. And I totally agree on other portions of this ordinance need to be looked at, because it's looking at these conventional ones and the buffers between agricultural land and stuff like that. 15 feet off of a pasture is not a great thing. So there's a lot more that needs to be looked at too. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. My name is Elizabeth Edwards Martin. I'm here on behalf of the Greater Greenville Association of Realtors. I am representing the almost 4,000 members of our association that serve in Pickens County, Greenville County, and Lawrence County. While I understand some of the conflicts around open space developments, as one of the speakers pointed out earlier, it is an opportunity to have meaningful areas that are undisturbed and then to have cluster density in another part of the development. It also helps with housing affordability, especially related to utilities. If you are building in a much smaller area, it's much less expensive. One of the number 1 things we hear from our members is that a majority of their clients cannot afford to buy a home, and even a $10,000 increase in pricing may price them out of the market for buying a home. I pulled some numbers on Lawrence County just in the last 6 years. In 2019, the average price of a house in Lawrence County was approximately $59,000. Today in 2025, the average price of a house in Lawrence County is $288,000. I also ran some information on the county. According to our statistics, the average income in Lawrence County is about $56,000. It's going to be extremely difficult at $56,000 to be able to afford a $300,000 home. Unfortunately, anything with regulation as far as development, whether that's impact fees, density, it's only going to make housing more expensive. And at the end of the day, just pricing out a lot of people from being able to live in Lawrence County. I heard one of our members put it best that essentially you're picking who your neighbors are, who you want to live in Lawrence County. If you're limiting the lot size to half an acre or 2 acres, if you only want people that can afford $350,000 or $400,000 houses, then essentially that's what you're going to get. I understand the conflict. I have a lot of information that I'm happy to share with you guys. I can email you, or Matthew has my contact information. I would be happy to share any statistical information that would be helpful to y'all, or just be a resource as y'all are going through this process. And we appreciate the opportunity to speak with y'all and to just be heard on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? I'll open it up to council. Giants, would you like to speak to this?
I don't have anything.
Ms. Lane?
I think so.
Okay.
Please do.
All right, couple things, start with the maximum building height. What's the purpose of that?
And that's where we're going for our planning, because that,
Sure. Go ahead and throw in. I'll go ahead and throw in there, my single story home is 17 feet tall.
And maximum building height, I think we have it at 2 stories right now. We're trying to control
25 feet, what's in here?
25 feet, that's 2 stories, correct?
What's it, there should says max building height 25 feet.
Yeah, that's 2 stories.
There's no,
We're trying to control massing a little bit on this because they're not supposed to, yes, they are supposed to be smaller homes, but they're not supposed to be 3 stories high. We're trying to control the massing, and it even comes down to where the side setbacks are decreased as you go to a next floor up, so you can have 1 story or 1.5 story buildings. And your side setbacks would be 5 feet. And if you go up to the 2 story, then your side setbacks become 10 feet. So that there's a more of a spread between the homes and also for firefighting purposes.
so a 2-story home with 10-foot ceilings.
And a 12-pitch roof is gonna be 35 feet easy. You'd have to have a 4-pitch roof and 8-foot ceilings to be able to be under 25 feet.
So,
So if
no, I'm
First
sorry, I'm
floor is-
just thinking that to me, that's more conventional than it is
the,
the idea.
the pitch is gonna raise the height of the eave. So they would have to have these 2-story houses with 4-pitch roofs. So they couldn't architecturally change anything or make anything aesthetically pleasing if it's all these flats instead of maybe some dormers or heights. Does that not restrict? Even though they're smaller homes, they could still be a pitched roof would go over 25 feet. That would prevent them.
We can add that to where that doesn't, the height does not include the roof.
Okay, well, is that where you're
Another,
going
I'm
with that?
thinking of floors, yes.
So if we just said 2 stories, that would cover that without putting a height restriction on. If, like he was reflecting 9-foot, 10-foot
Right.
ceilings.
I think it's 7 feet.
Okay,
But it's 25's in the paper, that's the concern.
Okay,
2 stories fine, nobody has a problem, I don't think, with 2-story.
so change to 25 feet.
No, it's just the fact that you can't build a 2-story that's under 25 feet or a max building height. If that's measured from the pitch of the roof, that's. Let's grow 4 feet tall, it's not happening.
but I think 2-story limited to 2-story, not 3 stories. I
Right,
can understand that. I just think that we would far eclipse 25 feet on a lot of them. Currently, even ones that are built now are taller than 25 feet on 2 stories. But I guess I don't mean to step on your question. Your question was, how did we land at that?
Well, I guess I don't really care how we got there, can we get rid of it?
yeah.
I was curious how we got there, there might have been a good reason, I didn't know the reason.
that, it's a working group today, so we'll be happy to make those revisions, so. Not, this ordinance has not been voted on yet, it's by title only, so we can make any changes you guys request tonight and have it ready for second reading.
So my next question, this one says no minimum lot requirements. For area. How about lot widths? Are we only, all I saw in here were setbacks for side yards, front yard, backyard. Are we concerned with outside of cul-de-sac minimum? There's no minimum lot widths. Is that something we're concerned with for this development?
I personally would be concerned if they were less than 50 feet, that's pretty small, but I thought.
Unless I'm missing.
In the table.
When we were discussing that in the staff work group. What we landed on was increasing the side yard setbacks and the rear yard setback. And not going with minimum lot sizes. Only because some of the designs we see when we put minimum lot sizes on are very odd shaped lots.
I refer to them as shoe boxes where they put everything in the back to meet their minimum lot requirements. And so we just thought that was an inefficient use of land. So we just said if you can meet our setbacks, side, front and rear, then we weren't necessarily concerned about minimum lot size. Quite frankly, at 10-foot side yards, you got 20 foot already. If you really, I mean, you're gonna be a 50-foot for the house.
It is something a lot of communities are moving towards, and just setting up what the setbacks should be to give the developers more freedom. And we also have been seeing, and just about every plan we come in, because we have a minimum lot size that is pretty big, they're giving us these minimum lot widths, but then the yard, the whole lot looks like a bowling alley. I mean, it just goes straight back, so it's kind of like a waste of land. And I don't even think, a lot of homeowners feel like dealing with that much.
But there's nothing in here to restrict that from happening. Now,
No, well, yeah, we have minimum lot sizes under our current, I think it's 2,000 square feet. I'm not sure.
it just says right here, no minimum lot requirements.
There are no minimum lot requirements, so if a developer did want to build one of those odd shaped lots, they could.
I said in our current ordinance that we have, we do have a minimum lot size.
Right. But not moving forward.
Right.
Other than what the home would take up and then the yard setbacks. So.
It just gives them a little more freedom for design and design of the entire project also.
And front yard be considered front of the house be considered whatever's facing the street, correct?
Right, it's front yard is 15 feet or 20 feet, once again. It's determined by the size of the structure, the height.
That's my own little Charleston style home. We'd end up with a bunch of shoebox yards.
Depends on, that's why we didn't want to give them a minimum lot size. Because we didn't want them to have a really long lot, we wanted.
They can build tiny ones in, like we could literally have Charleston style houses with 10-foot front yards. I'm sorry, 15-foot front yards, 10-foot backyards, and that thing could be 30 feet wide. If we wanted it to be, that's a little narrow, but. Somebody could build that style development there.
Or billets, or bungalows. I know even with what I like about this is it gives us another opportunity to invite in some senior housing, active senior communities, because they never want anything that really big either.
Thanks. Backgrounds. Only worry about, well, I'm only worried, biggest worry about is doubling the open space from where we're currently at. I think Bobby Smith had mentioned this in a planning commission meeting before. There's 4 people that are affected when you go to sell land. You got a land seller, a land buyer, a land developer, and then a home buyer. We gotta look out for all of those. Not a one-way street though.
All right, it's modeled after what we've already seen within the state, and also it's pretty popular up in North Carolina too. So like I said, it's pretty much modeled after what has been successful in the communities that have been built around us.
What is, what's Greenville County's, or with somebody else?
I was just curious what the gauge of success was.
The what success?
The gauge of success, how are we gauging that success?
That would have to be researched.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. That would have to be researched.
So how are we, I think my question is those communities there that we're calling successful, you called them successful, but now we're gonna have to research them. But you said they're successful and we're modeling after that, but now we're gonna have to research them. So that's my questions is,
I can find that out for you, that's not a problem.
but we modeled it after them.
Well,
It was modeled,
let's not have that.
I'm sorry, I'm just
You're
confused.
fine, but it's good and we'll note that
Yeah,
question, but let's not debate. That's fine.
I bought it.
also by not having determined lot sizes, we're starting to morph more into what's known as performance zoning. And that's what's done there, is it has a lot to do with how the overall project is going to look. So it is getting closer to us talking about zoning.
I do have a question as it relates to the density. So based on this ordinance, would you look at the parcel and look at what you could get in conventional? And that would be a number, and that'd be the max number you could do in an open space?
Right, I think Wes, did we take that 5% out?
We did.
Okay. Yes, it shouldn't be, you should be able to get a little more than conventional, but not that much more. We did have in 5%, but that kind of scares me a little bit, because if you've got, development with like contemporary or conventional, that could be 200 homes. That means it's gonna be an extra 40 homes that they can have.
Right, I guess my question was, in this, I've seen this kind of a state's recommendation based thoughts were that if you were gonna use this type of development, that the density be the same as if you were gonna do a conventional build and you were gonna take up 300 acres conventionally and it would be 200 houses. That if you did it open space, you still could only get those 200 houses. You'd have this open space, but you were allowed to have the smaller lots. The density, it's cheaper for the developer and the home costs can come down. But we wouldn't have this 900 home parcel, right?
Right,
But
right.
on these smaller lots.
And that's, Wes knows that was my concern as far as, was talking about, perhaps we should put a limit on the size. Or limit on the density, and in talking about it, we felt like, do what most of the other communities do, and that's figure out what they could do as a conventional development, just like you had just mentioned. And make sure that their density doesn't go over much of that, allow them maybe a few more homes than conventional, but.
But in this document we have before us tonight is what we would do using this as presented. Would it be the same number of conventional lots could be built on open space?
Wes, that's the way it's set up right now, right?
No, not in the draft you have now. And the reason that we removed that is the increased cost. You would have to develop a conventional residential subdivision plan and an open space subdivision plan. So you're doubling the cost for someone who wants to do an open space development as opposed to a conventional development.
So is there a way to know? I guess there's not without doing it, but if you had a piece of land and obviously if you could get the same density as conventional and do it in open space, you're gonna, and you could save money, you would look for that. But I feel like what we've seen, and I could be out of line speaking out of school, we have a parcel that was developed many times bigger than what could have been conventional, which has caused some negative impacts to the community.
So what most communities do is they ask the developer during pre-application. If you're talking about an open space development, they need you to bring in. Throw some numbers together or a sketch as to what you think your density would be for conventional development first. And that's discussed during the pre-app meeting if they're wanting to do an open space. so that we can compare it at that time. They don't have to submit a whole plan. So there's really no cost there. I mean, if they write it on a piece of paper, we're really looking for figures.
Right.
Looking at. And I think it would be safe to keep it close, very close to what is allowable under a conventional development. I don't think I'm, I don't like straw. And I don't, with this particular type of development, I don't think it will look good if it's very, very dense, if there's hundreds and hundreds of homes. I don't think that was what this concept is about.
And I think that's probably why, and I'm not speaking for you, but you put a 60% open space because it's kind of open to as many as they want to put on that, because you haven't restricted anything, not lot sizes or anything, just setbacks. And if you didn't have a higher percentage that they couldn't develop, you could have a tremendously large amount of homes.
Exactly. I know it's been mentioned that perhaps we should go down to 20. We're already at 30. We're already at 30 for open space and 10 for common open space within our current ordinance. So going down to 20, you guys will just shut what we have.
I don't think anybody's advocating going down to 20. I was just 60 seems double where we are, and I was trying to figure out.
The average is from 50 to 70. That's what it's averaged between. And even North Carolina, the Natural Resources Division, who has a really nice handbook out on this, compares different communities that already have the open space development. They recommend from 50 to 70. APA, under the American Planning Association, they recommend for that type of development 40 to 70. They said something, which I think is too high. I think going down in that, we're getting too close to what we already had, and I think it would defeat the purpose.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt. I do need to make one comment about conventional development, since that's a big part of this discussion. The lot size minimum for conventional developments with sewer is a half acre. Without sewer, it's 0.57. Very similar in size. So I don't think half acre is normal for conventional developments with public sewer. I think it's usually closer to 15,000 square feet, 16, or sometimes a third of an acre. But because those two lot sizes are very similar, you are encouraging potentially more septic developments, which again, the area where we have public sewer is 10% of the county. So there's a lot of part of the county that's going to develop a septic. What you don't want is concentrated subdivisions along your highway corridor where there is public sewer, putting in septic.
Agreed.
It's not good for the environment because septic systems are usually not maintained over time. And then again, of course, the stranded costs with the infrastructure. So and I tend to agree that open space and conventional start to look a lot like one another from a density or a lot count. I just think you need to look at that conventional lot size requirement. And I would argue produce it, which you need to kind of look, and then how does that compare? So,
What would your suggestion be for private septic system on conventional? More than a high pressure?
I stick with the state requirement, which is 0.57. If you wanted it to be larger, I don't know that hurts a whole lot, but again, you get into the cost, you start to price a lot of people out of the market. So I don't know that the septic needs to be looked at. It's typically the public sewer option that is not happening.
A septic tank subdivision over 50 lots. When was the last time something like that was approved? If ever.
Yeah, one here now for
Yeah, I
100.
think we got 3 right now being looked at. So because the moratorium to some degree.
But Green County has a moratorium on right now for the exact same reason we do.
Right.
The abuse of open space. And I think they did, as long as a year on their moratorium to try, because they've had the exact same issues that we're having. as far as developers taking advantage and increasing the density with open space development.
Yeah, I think the loopholes where you're not doing open space correctly, you're not doing buffers, piecemealing all of that to hit that percentage mark, I think those changes are very needed. Again, I just going too far in one direction, I don't know what that does.
I agree. There's middle ground, as Garrett's point, having it built on what, three sides? Or you're built around, you're on 2 or 3 sides now.
It'll be 3, but at the back of us and the side, and then now we're on the other side.
Then on the other side, maybe some of you are familiar, a farmer trying to retire and selling their land, if you go from 30 to 60. If I'm a developer, why would I pay the same amount of money if I can build half the amount of homes? Maybe a little more because you have the minimum lots, but still you build a 2-story house, you're looking at 65 to 75 feet minimum lot width. Yeah, paints a pretty picture saying there's no minimum lot requirement, but in reality there is.
I don't think we as a county should worry about the developers as much as we should worry about the county.
I agree, but-
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I was just reviewing Greenville County's changes to their open space development. They're looking at 60 to 70% open space in Greenville County.
That is correct.
And out of the
So-
60% are 10% common areas with pools and all that, so that's not left natural either, so you really only got 50%.
So,
Right.
so in ours, it's 50-10 to make this.
Right.
Yeah.
40.
So just like you, Mr. Metz, I have a question about the verbiage in this whole entire ordinance. I mean, after all the whereases and therefore, the first thing is open space residential subdivision, OSRD. And then there's constant references throughout this for COS. Which is conservation open space. So is this an ordinance about open space residential development or conservation open space? Or what are we, there's too many, I'll say they're contradicting because they are similar. But it seems that we're interchanging terms throughout this entire ordinance. I'd like to see it more unified if we're in, what we're talking to, because conservation subdivision, I'd agree with 75 to 80% all day long, because that's conservation. Open space is a whole nother animal.
And the terms are used interchangeably throughout the ordinance and throughout, common understanding of open space. But we can be more consistent with our term that we're defining it as open space as opposed to conservation open space.
Yeah, conservation open space versus residential open space are the two different things.
Any more questions about the document?
So in the site standard section, it mentions side and rear yard buffer. This is minimum. I assume these are buffers. 100 feet if adjacent to agricultural and 50 feet for all other uses.
Right.
Today, with no zoning, what determines agricultural versus non?
Maybe if you have low density, residential, which is from 1 to 4 per acre, it is 15 feet. And then if you have less than that, if you have something that's closer to residential estate, 1 per acre, it's next to agriculture, I'm not really think we would require.
I think he was asking, what's your definition of agricultural?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Since we don't zone, what would you call agriculture?
How it's assessed by the tax assessor.
Okay.
Because we also have vacant lands that, kind of, they're a cross between agriculture and not being used for agriculture. So as far as the buffer goes, I look to see, if it's active, if it's something that is active agriculture. Because we have a lot of agricultural lands that, there's nobody even living on. Or vacant lands.
That's because we farm it.
And or.
Is Mr. Daly still here?
You say define the agriculture.
How it's assessed by the tax assessor's office.
We get that for definitions. To avoid conflict down the road.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. I agree with that, but.
Any other questions from Ms. Boardroom?
Is there anything required to be inside of those distances?
And the distance for,
I was. I'm trying to interpret the way this is sections of site standards, 10 acres. I'm assuming if all of them go buy property to create a open space residential subdivision. And I'm reading this chart, so I gotta buy a minimum of 10 acres.
Mhm.
And half of that has to stay as impervious surface, so I cannot develop half of it at all. 75% of that has to be continuous based on number 4, F4. But let's say I'm good with that, and then minimum open space that was 60, so I gotta do another 10 potentially in soccer fields or tennis courts or swimming pools. So I'm gonna let 4 acres to develop. That 4 acres, I gotta have a 50-foot site, minimum site. 50-foot front yard. So I assume that's a buffer?
No, that's not, that's for the entrance to the neighborhood.
that's your
That's for,
main.
that's not for the
along
individual
development.
lot. Your front yard is gonna be 15 foot for,
Now I know that. So what the 50-foot minimum site front yard, what is that for?
And that's
in this
along the
top of
right
this-
of way. Along the main right of way that
Okay.
goes past the development, I guess.
So on the road, 50-foot buffer,
40 foot has to be landscape.
where's that at? I missed that.
Page 8, I believe.
What is it?
Leave page 8. Let me check.
It's very possible it's in here and I'm right over it.
The 50-foot buffer streetscape zone shall be provided along the existing road frontage adjoining the subdivision, of which 40 feet of the width shall be landscaped.
All right, where you at?
Page 5, number 3. 3.
That gets. Yeah, so. Not too worried about the front, but next one, 4 and 5. 100-foot. There's the word buffer. Land use buffer consists of a minimum of 100 feet. Shall be between any development and neighboring architectural or vacant lands.
That's your land use buffer.
Okay. As outlined in ordinance 926 appendixes.
No, this is heavier. This is more strict.
Okay,
When we get to 926, we are gonna be looking at those buffers, because land use buffers, and their widths to, gonna go over all of them to see if they need to be, whether they need to be updated.
I sincerely apologize if I'm missing it. Can you point me to the land use buffer requirements?
You mean in 926?
Well, I just asked about 926. You said this is more strict.
Yes, the 100 feet is more strict.
Yes, I'm asking about the land use buffer definitions.
Those are be under 926.
Okay, thank you.
This was mentioned at the planning commission meeting, but I'll bring it up for the rest of the council. Not to make it happen, so I'll keep that simple. Let's just take a 100-acre tract. 60% open space, 10% of that is common though, so you're left with 50 acres of natural open space, 75% of which is contiguous. Who will upkeep that?
that is addressed specifically in page 10 and 11 of the ordinance. It shows who's gonna have ownership of management plan, enforcement, a legal instrument for permanent protection. I'll be happy to answer any questions as to those provisions, but that's where you can find in general what would be required of the ownership and the management and the enforcement of the upkeep of the open space.
So we've had multiple instances just in the short time I've been on council of issues in a subdivision with usually roads, honestly, but land not being kept up or lots that were never sold that still belong to the original owner from the seventies. Is there, I mean, I see the mechanisms in the legal, but is there anything really that we can hold them to? To make them take care of it, 'cause that's a lot of, I mean, 50 acres of natural land still has to be taken care of, like, they can't just let it grow wild.
No, this was a concern that we had at the planning commission, so we looked at it, and number 3 on page 10 allows for the county to assume control and responsibility of the property and it to become a lien on all of the homes within the subdivision. So to the extent that the open space is not being maintained, the county can go in, maintain it, charge that to the homeowners, and it becomes a lien on all their homes.
The feasibility of that, what's the homeowner gonna have to pay an HOA fees? And I'm 24 years old, can barely buy a home, and then I'm slapped with a $750 HOA fee. If it's a 100-acre tract and I have 50 acres, what's that gonna turn into in Lawrence County? Deer corn and beer bottles?
Question.
That's a cheap HOA fee.
It can also be placed under a permanent conservation easement or land trust. Nonprofit organization.
Or you can give the county easement, we'll maintain it.
I just fall back on the taxpayers that are already here. Cause even if we put a lien on the house, what's gonna happen then is current homeowner, it's, well, I guess it'd come out of the sale. But if they know about it, they're gonna charge more for their house to take care of it. Like, it's just, it all goes back to the homeowner and the citizen at some level.
Most natural open space, so it's usually based around your creeks, your wooded areas and stuff like that, that don't have to be maintained by anyone. I mean, they're just natural open
Land use
space,
buffers
correct?
and your environmental buffers, they're not supposed to be maintained.
Correct.
The areas outside of that are in natural open space can be mowed.
In a perfect world, this application of this type of build would be on a tract of land that otherwise couldn't be fully developed, probably. If there were some things about it that you couldn't develop, and so you would give them some deference on the ability to build on it, represented to if you could use the whole thing.
Right.
And it looks like what we're doing is we're taking completely usable land and boarding off part of it to be open space so we can have a heavy density over here, and that seems like a bad
Well,
use of land.
we have a lot of parcels that have a lot of riparian streams that require 50 feet.
That might be,
Those are all included as your natural open space. So when you have a lot of parcels that are like that, they can't build all over it because they don't want to build bridges or roads through
sure,
streams or rivers. And you can direct them to the area that is buildable and all that. Well, we even have a definition for what's unbuildable.
is that what we're seeing? Or are we seeing people utilizing the smaller lot sizes, the heavier density, calling it open space on a tract that could easily have been conventionally developed?
That's the problem
Okay.
today. That's the problem.
And in our area, most of the big developments have been wooded and they come in and clear cut everything. 50% of it could have been left easy as completely natural. I mean, even on our property, we have a lot of wood, so we don't do anything to them. We don't-
That was my question.
Yeah, you know,
It seems like this should be an option for development where other things might not be.
And so that's why it started out as a conservation open space.
Right.
But since we're kind of going back and forth with things until we really nail it down. As far as what we're going to call it.
with this, we will be pushing developers to pursue conventional over open space. I just feel like there's more work with.
I,
what half the
you know,
land
I
conservation
don't,
needs to-
I don't think so, maybe more than they have been. Because everything we've been getting is the situation that we're in. But I still think you're gonna have a lot of people using the open space development, especially on these lots to where they have slopes that are too steep and the riparian structures. The wetlands, but now that we also have a definition for unbuildable lands, that guides them as to what parts of the property they can consider and look at as part of their natural open space to start out with. But we didn't have that outline before.
Is there a minimum threshold of unbuildable pieces of that land that will qualify for the open space, or can anybody take any parcel and try to make it open space?
I would think that they can this way, yes, this way. This way, we'd be able to give them more density on the buildable land. It's probably something that we come to the planning commission for on a decision, because let's say that maybe 70% of the land is unbuildable. They only have 30% of it to work on. If they want to increase the density on that, that's something that you can take in as. planning
Sure.
commission.
And that makes sense.
You've got more experience, way more experience in planning than I do. In your opinion, what would this do to lot prices?
I don't know, I have seen some of these homes, I know you have several realtors here today. But depending on where you live, I've seen some of them, smaller homes go for more than. The larger 3-bedroom, over 2,000 square feet. It's really gonna be based on what people want. Gonna find, like, in a lot of other places, it's a lot of people that are, either they're younger and they can't afford something. They might be able to make some that are affordable, we can even ask for some to be made affordable. You will also find that a lot of seniors, and you could have some snowbirds too that are very much interested in it. For example, my sister just bought one up in southern Jersey, and the house is right on the Pinelands National Forest. You can't build back there. There's nothing but trees. Her house is 1,700 square feet. And she ended up paying $456,000 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And it's actually an active seniors, so they got the pickleball courts, they have the.
I mean, we need that in Lawrence, we need the 300,000 to 400,000, I mean. 3/4
So
million.
that's the downsizing for her.
Exactly.
I was in shock.
I mean. Gotta look out for those people, but as well as people that
Right,
graduated college, they're looking in the 200 to 250 range. I love a lot of this in there.
yeah, I would like to see us try to promote more affordable housing, even some housing through all right, we'll just one plan.
What do we, for, obviously, we got small mill houses and stuff that cost more to fix up and half of them cost. But if somebody wanted to do a development of quote affordable housing or workforce housing, whatever, because people's definition of affordable are different. So somebody that, let's not say went to college and is a white collar worker, just somebody that chose to trade and went to ZF making more than the white collar worker. And doing a real good job, making good money, wants to live in Lawrence in a new home. What do we have for that?
You mean under 200,000?
Yeah.
Cause I think that's what's considered affordable right now, right?
No, that was average home price because of the expensive ones.
What do we have for homes under 200?
Urban Meadows?
It's just attached townhomes.
Urban's under 200.
No, not under 200. I'm saying they advertise 200s is what Durban advertises. Canterbrook is 300s. I don't
I'm
know,
sure that's the 2 bedroom, not the 3 bedroom, right? So you get the 3 bedroom here.
yeah, those are a little bit larger in the Canterbrook, they're 300s. I've seen more of the townhomes are 200s.
They're mostly townhomes.
Yeah, there's townhomes there, 200s. I don't know what Rim Woods is. I think they're in the 200s for those homes.
Pretty much the same at Fountain Inn too.
Reedy Creek's 200s, I think.
If they're gonna pay in the 200s, they're gonna be townhomes.
And most of those, a lot of those are single family homes, actually. They're in the 200s.
There aren't houses available anymore under 200.
I looked for 6 months out.
Joanna, and Joanna, there are, that's about it, that's probably.
Notice I said no houses.
You can stand on redevelopment, that's right.
There was clarified.
I mean, granted, when I was looking for a house, I was more constricted than a general person because I'd lived in the council district, but it took me a year. That's not every area of the county, but
This is a thought exercise. If we were to lower the lot size on water and sewer to 0.4 acre, does that, I'm just asking a question, does that change the developer's desire to go to an open space because that is more palatable to getting what they want?
I
Or,
think all three of us agree on that.
and I only ask that because I don't think that open space is a solution for development. I think it's an option for an undevelopable type land that you can't do conventionally. If you're trying to do a workaround to get more density, this is not the item to do that with. And that's my personal opinion.
That's really how it started out. Is to be an option for environmentally sensitive parcels. Allow people to, profit from their property, even though they have those issues on site, so.
I'm just trying.
Jeff, what does it look like to follow on this Jeff's comment, if we reduce the water sewer acreage, but put a cap on the developable space? So we said would you use 0.4, I don't.
I was just throwing up, because it's 0.5 right now, it's a half acre.
So we go to 0.4, like you said, and we said no bigger than 60 acre lot, 60 acre, what we call it here, sites. Does that do anything if we restrict, maybe we go to 30 acres, I don't know.
I don't really know, I haven't studied that a lot.
That would avoid these 1,000 acre properties getting swallowed up and turned totally into subdivision.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah, maybe you do need to put a cap on how big a parcel, but then do you start subdividing it, buying chunks and then stacking two together and they figure out a way to work around that? So that's something you have to always consider, but all we just would like is where there's public sewer. Again, there's not a lot of area in Lawrence County where there's public sewer. Set up a mechanism to where it encourages developers to use the public sewer. And at half acre, that doesn't always work. And so, 0.4 would be an improvement on that. Out beyond that, I don't really have a whole lot of input. And then the open space, again, I think if you, however you use it, whether it's only conservation, where it's, I get nervous about affordability. Because I do think if you had an option, you can ask some of the realtors or the home builders if there are in the room, if you have a conventional and you say on an open space, you can match conventional, but get 5% more. Plus you can reduce how much infrastructure you can build a little bit. I think there is an incentive to go open space, particularly where the slopes and the streams don't encourage a conventional. Again, it's how far you go in requiring how much open space. Is it 50%, 45%, that kind of thing. I think the biggest thing is there's loopholes in how developers are attacking that open space requirement, what they're including, and then maybe some buffer issues. I know there's road issues too, but I mean, access, I know there's access points required, do you end up, well, what if there's a road where you want a lot of people to move and pull out of that subdivision where there's a frontage road? And then your requirements make them put an access point on a secondary road on the backside. That's not probably desirable. So you guys got to be careful how you work through some of these changes.
I think, the barrier to entry on open space or conservation space should be because there is a X percentage of unusable, undevelopable land. Maybe that's 40%. Or so, I didn't just say it. Then that makes sense, and then we can work on that as, that's the barrier. The bar to get in. The other, if we were to lower the lot size on sewer and water, but limit the build size, that might be something we can control.
Build size of the home.
No, of the lot, of the development, instead of 300 acres, the max is 60 acres, where I'm just throwing numbers, but you limit, so then you know if it's 4/10 of an acre and you limit it to 100 acres or 80 acres, whatever it is, you kind of know what density you're gonna get. And then you can look at the location they're trying to get approval for. And if it's next to an area that's already just a wasteland of houses, that might not be the place for that.
Again, I can't speak to the economics, but we're trying to develop an attractive product. So you want good buffers, right? There's part of your acreage gone. You probably want amenities like pools and pickleball courts is what I always hear. That acreage is gone. And so if you start, you gotta just be careful if you limit it to 100 acres.
I'm not, I'm just saying, if we did that, what would that look like? And push pull, you've given me some push, because maybe that's too conservative.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just think we want an attractive product that protects adjacent landowners. And, but allows growth to occur enough where we all benefit from it.
When we talk about loopholes, if we think about them, and if we do put a max acreage amount, if I'm a developer, why don't I just go build up to the max? Wait till that's finished out and then come back and start on the next.
I think we have something in here. I know we did. I don't know if we took it out last. It was to where they couldn't be, you couldn't have an open space development next to another one. And if we did, the part where the natural open space is should be together, not, so it's actually what you're trying to do is you're trying to build wildlife corridors as you're going along, so that the open space that they provide hooks up with the next project and hooks up with the next project. So that you can keep, create corridors as you're going along for wildlife. I have to look to see if we know what we put in there. Do you remember, Wes?
We don't have anything that says they can be next to each other.
I think we did the 100-foot buffer in that case. In other words, so it'd be 100 feet, and then if another one came in, I think they'd have to give 50. Yeah, they would have to give 50, so you would have 150 feet between. How about that?
Jeff, where's the water and sewer right now? If we're looking at our county, where the next logical growth area is, where is that?
Water's in a lot of places.
Well, sewer.
Yeah, we have 900 miles of water pipes, so septic developments can happen in quite a few places. Nothing overly large, obviously, but reasonable. Where sewer is pretty much where your smart growth zone that y'all developed as part of the county comprehensive plan. So pretty much Fountain Inn kind of comes around Great Court, 385, Highway 14, comes in around City of Lawrence and Clinton, interconnects the two. Basically, that spine right down the center of the county is where most of the public sewer is. That's where it's only at. And so most of in our 25-year capital plan that we just adopted, we kind of kept to that area because usually development's going to just build off existing sewer. It's not going to pop up out in Hickory Tavern or pop up out in Ware Shoals or Cross Hill. It's going to stay in that area where it is affordable.
You say 10% of the land in Lawrence is serviced by sewer now in 25 years. What could that?
Probably less than 10% now, honestly.
We're looking like 15 or.
Lisa can speak better to this. I think every project that's under construction now was permitted under 2 ordinances ago. I don't even think the current ordinance that we're talking about revising, there's a single project under construction yet, under the current ordinance. So it's been, I think, 2 years since a new project has been, as Nancy said, we got a lot going on, so that's not a problem, but you know, so.
We've had a couple.
We
We've had a
haven't,
couple, but most of them are open space.
yeah, we haven't seen a new one in 2 years. We've seen one approved, but not go into development.
The new open space being developed.
Correct.
We don't even know what that product looks like with new words.
I agree, there's still loopholes though. I agree with that 100%, and I think that needs to be fixed. Again, as I said, I just nervous that going 30 to 60, what that looks like.
But is that as big a deal if the water sewer conventional bill was less onerous?
I don't know. I can't speak to the affordability. You know, I look at them as two separate. Unless you're gonna tie them together where they need to match in lot size. Cause I really think the conventional lot size is a standalone issue to some degree, again, where public sewer is. So once you connect the two, it's just gotta be something that you're aware of. And I don't know about affordability. If I heard realtors say sometimes these cluster developments, not conservation development, allow you to develop at a lower price point. And I will tell you, my son is a college grad and makes a pretty good living and lives near Clinton. And $280,000 is about all he can afford. And that's kind of a starting price point for a 3-bedroom house. He has 2 children. And, you know, so I definitely don't want a bunch, you know, a lot of housing all be 500,000, 400,000. So I don't know what that looks like. Because I hope my kids grow up and move back too and be affordable.
I think that's another large problem we have right now, is most of the developers that are coming in are bringing in just plans for the 3 twos, the 3 to 4 twos, you know, 5-bedroom. They're bringing in some really large homes. And I'm sure,
How do we know if that inventory is sitting or sold?
that's a good question.
They sell it like hotcakes, I can tell you that much.
So we're
Soon as they build
arguing,
them.
we're arguing cost and affordability, but if they're building them for 300,000 and 400,000 and they're
They're
none of
selling
them
them
are.
as quick as they can build them.
Close to founding. He actually is considering buying a bigger house because they're looking to have another kid, and he met with a realtor yesterday. And he said, could I list my house for $290? You can make a little bit of money because he hadn't had much equity earned in 2 years. And he said, yeah, we probably could, but plan on it sitting for 6 months. And that's plenty. But found in, they go like.
Yeah, I'm just curious. We got a lot of houses in the queue already that are gonna fix to go up in Great Court. Are they gonna be? Do you think those, I'm asking y'all developers, real estate people, do they get built as they're sold or do they build them and sell them?
Build them and sell them. I mean, sometimes they're even.
Some of them, the ones next to us, it's they come to look at the lot and they're pick a lot and then they have their house built. And Durbin Meadows, they were building them and selling them like hotcakes, just, I mean, as quick as they can build them, they're sold. It's very few that are even available in there, and they're not finished building out.
If they're selling them, there's no problem selling them. I don't see what the incentive is to build more affordable homes.
Except for the fact that we'll just turn it into a retirement community.
No, I'm asking, I'm just asking,
I was gonna say, except for the fact that I can't afford one.
no, and I'm not talking about us as a county. I'm talking, we're arguing that there are people with an interest in developing land and homes that don't really have an interest in the next 20 years in Lawrence County.
Right.
And so my question is, real question. Is there, if we change some of these things, is the desire to bring more affordable homes or lower cost homes to be able to meet that need? Or will we see the same thing? We just made it easier to do the same thing.
We need more rentals. we've gotta have some more rentals because workforce housing. We've got new people coming in and
But that's
We're
not
really
anything
frightened
we
as
can
to whether
solve
they're
in
going
in
to-
this document. I mean, I don't know.
We're talking about the people buying the house, becoming Lawrence County citizens, or we're talking about the development?
So like, when they're developing it, I hope people are buying and coming to Lawrence County. When you're developing that and you're setting price and you're setting the type of house and how much. Is there a desire to find a way to build a more affordable home? To be there, or if you can maximize profit in the market is still there to buy these houses. What is the incentive to make less on these homes?
I think that depends on.
Yes, sir.
I would say yes, the desire is to build them to, have them at the lowest price possible. Of course, there's still numbers to meet, but as far as, I'd say in most cases, it's not going in there and, what's the highest we can sell these for in this market? It's, all right, can we get most affordability out of them? Especially some of the larger developments, and there are some home builders out there where, their main goal is to build, nicer, higher end products at higher prices. But I'd say, a handful of larger home builders down here definitely are shooting for the lowest price possible to be able to build.
And with that plan or the submission to our county for approvals, is that clearly stated? I mean, like our intent is to do this at this price point for this reason.
Yes, I don't know how often there is the opportunity really to come out and say, hey, we're trying to build the most affordable homes possible. I think that's more in the conversation of getting the most density to be able to spread those costs out amongst more homes and to bring the cost per lot down.
I mean, I get it. We get lower cost housing at the cost of more people and homes and demand on the community. It's difficult.
when we have our pre-application meetings, we do have developers say, what are y'all looking for? I said, I'll tell you what we need. And so we need some multiple family housing, we need some rentals. I said, got quite a bit of a choice right now for 3 bedroom, 2 baths. And I said, there's still even more coming in. I said, but there's a lot of younger people, a lot of single people, a lot of people that work here that we have to go up and go as far as Fountain Inn and Greenville and Malden to find an affordable place to live that we can rent.
Joanna.
And Joanna.
That's a good name.
I feel wrong.
You require to build more condominiums in the city in conjunction.
I don't think we can require a developer to do anything. We can, like she said, when they come to you and say, hey, what are you interested in? We could say that, but we can't require anything of them, I don't think.
Only way we can do is by incentivizing it.
Let's say incentivize. But is there affordable housing with a lot price that would come along with 6% open space? Big question. There's some bright minds in the room, but I don't think there's a solid answer on that question. Maybe there's not one.
I can see what kind of answers.
They seem to be selling, yeah.
Yeah, one point, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The minimum lot size shall be determined by the project being designed within the net access. Page 7, my elaborate more. For me on that one. After we got done saying everything, minimum lot sizes.
I'm sorry, what did she say? I might be able to.
It says access, and it's
Page 7, EI.
understand the road standards in that section, that's just the. minimum lot sizes under access?
Oh, it's because this is probably because we increased the number of accesses required for our homes. Kind of ran into that with Cambridge Farms, with us not having enough accesses.
Yeah.
So we lowered the number of homes requiring additional accesses. So, I don't know if.
The minimum
I'm gonna have to.
accesses, is that minimum lot sizes?
That's a good question, I was. Gonna do 5 2. But remember anything about that, Jim?
I don't recall. I'm not really sure why we ever reached the minimum lot. I don't understand what net access means there either.
Right.
Mr. Metz, before we have second reading at our next council meeting, will we have, excuse me, an opportunity to have another one of these sessions?
Yeah, I mean, we proposed a tentative schedule, so we could. I mean, technically, we don't have to have the second reading in November, we could have the second reading in December. But, yeah, we got flexibility, we just get a proposed schedule, so we can put it on for second reading as late as you guys would like for us to.
Second reading in December pushes past the 6-month moratorium.
For final adoption, no, because the moratorium was adopted in August or September.
I believe February would be when we would have. to.
February is my understanding of the 6 month.
Correct. February would be the time that we would have to extend. What is the next scheduled discussion time? Only proposed.
The next time that it is for any type of discussion would be at the next November council meeting, because that is before the planning commission meeting in November. But it is scheduled to get back for the planning commission in November. We could also open it up for another meeting at the regular meeting in November of the county council.
The planning commission meeting, what day is that scheduled for, November?
18 celebrates the third Tuesday. Second
The
Tuesday.
planning commission, I thought it was the 20th.
20th is a Thursday, so.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 18th is a Tuesday, so November 18th. Next planning commission, next county council meeting will be at November 10th.
Does anyone have a conflict with the 27th of this month? 2 weeks from today? And possibly a second reading November 10th. And the one we get next time.
Do we want to have a second reading before the planning commission has an opportunity to do theirs?
Oh, they will, because theirs is the 10th, and planning commission is after theirs. For next.
So that'll be enough.
I mean, honestly, with the new administrator coming in, I'd like to get his input on it as well, since he is a certified planner. So I was hoping not to have to do something in November, because we're gonna bring him on board in November. So I prefer to have it back before council in December. Take it to the planning commission on November 18th and then have it back before the, you guys for a second reading in December.
To what extent has the planning commission worked on this so far?
They've reviewed it one time, made suggestions regarding, their main concerns were, the protection and enforceability portion of it. They didn't have any objection with a 60% open space because they get yelled at every planning commission meeting. So their thoughts were just, how do we enforce it? But they didn't have a lot of comments otherwise. They did ask for us to make some revisions and bring it back to them in November.
If you also check your fourth whereas. This contiguous development here, it says 75%, so. Minor adjustment.
Everybody amenable with that plan to have another meeting on the 10th? Let planning commission have their meeting on the 18th before we have a second reading.
Is it worth having another committee as a whole meeting before the regular council meeting? Considering I think many of us are more lost now than we're thinking here.
So would it be possible to have a draft with some of the conversation we had tonight for a meeting in 2 weeks?
Certainly, but tonight's conversation was more on a higher level than we really got into the weeds. So there's not a lot of changes that were suggested as specifics for us tonight.
So I guess, say hearing that, if we had
Justin, I
time,
got some notes for you right here.
if we met again with some specifics, then the draft that we had at the council meeting would have some substantive changes.
Quite frankly, I think the best course of action might be for us to let it get back before the planning commission in November, get their additional comments, make the revisions. Then have a committee of the whole meeting before the December council meeting. So you guys can review the comments of the planning commission, make any new changes, see what the draft is. And then you have a chance to discuss it, make further revisions before we bring it up for second reading. So I would say, the only problem is we're running into the holiday season. So, I would think you'd want to have another committee of the whole meeting somewhere around Thanksgiving time, a little thereafter.
To go off Matthew's point, I don't think we need 2 meetings between now and the next planning commission. But I do think it'd be nice maybe at the next council meeting to see whatever draft's gonna go to the planning commission.
Gonna spend Thanksgiving week with family. We have some time to do that now.
No objection.
Yeah, I think we need to see one more before we go to the planning, just to see what changes. I mean, some of it's grammatical, it's not a massive deal, but I think at the next council meeting, just like we did tonight, would be appropriate.
That'd be easy to do. But no, we're not gonna have any planning. The planning commission won't see it again until November 18th.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so what I'm hearing is we'll do another one of these meetings after our council meeting on November 10th. Everybody okay with that? Absolutely not. No second reading until December.
Gotcha. We're doing what?
So
We have another one of these meetings for you.
November 10th,
The next regular council meeting will be the same way we
What
operate
are
tonight.
we gonna do, second read?
December meeting.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Okay. Anything else from the group?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Almost.
Don't please.
Yeah. Yeah.